Good afternoon, everyone. This is Dr. Kirti, Assistant Professor, Chanakya National Law University, and we are discussing various modules or units of the paper, the course titled as Human Resource Development. The code of this course is MMPH 002, and we have already dealt from Unit 1 to Unit 7. And in the yesterday's class, we have started with Unit 8, and continuing with that, to recapitulate, I would like you to focus that we have already seen the objectives that this unit has for the students, and it is going to deal with the concept of HRD climate, organizational development climate, relationship between the two, and how can we measure HR climate and how we can maintain it. Then the structure of this chapter or unit is introduction, then defining climate, then understanding of the HRD climate and organizational climate, how the climate is shaped up and what are the various elements or components of these climates, and what contributes to the HRD climate in an organization. So, starting with the introduction, climate plays a very important role in ensuring the competency, motivation, and development of its employees. And it can be created using appropriate HRD system and leadership style of top level management. Yes, it is an end and means to an end as well. It is desired outcome of various HRD systems, and it helps to build up again a better and effective HRD system. So in this way we can say that it is, yes, an end to all means, and in fact it is also a way to achieve various ends. Okay. In the recent past, simple and very effective instruments have been developed, like questionnaire and various surveys have been developed to measure the HRD climate in any organization and analyze the level of the effectiveness and analyze the level of congeniality in any organizational climate or human resource development climate. So these instruments are being used widely to assess periodically the climate and maintain a profile and design interventions to further improve it. Now, we all have a perception that organizations' goals and it's about the decision that managers should take to achieve the goals which an organizational climate or the HRD climate tries to achieve. And it is not possible only with the help of informal organization, but it is both the combination of informal organization as well as formal uh, organizational structure which combines together to create an organizational climate or HRD climate. So, how do we define this term climate? It is the quality of internal as well as the external environment, and it is the condition in turn, the quality of cooperation that the individual or the team members of the organizations have. It helps in the development of individual to the extent of members' dedication or commitment to organization's purpose and the efficiency with which that purpose becomes translated into results. Okay. So, climate is also the atmosphere in which individuals help, judge, reward, constrain, and find out about each other. Then it influences the morale and attitudes of the individuals toward their work and their environment. The focus of this organizational climate or HRD climate is towards both ends, that is result of individuals efforts, and the focus is also on the work so that the job and task get accomplished on time. So there are two extremes which operate in the climate, like for example individual accomplishments versus being a member of the team. Then the another contrast we can see is that individual gains also exist in the climate. On the other hand, enhancement of the organizational objectives also exist. Then tough mindfulness or mindness versus dealing with people versus avoidance of unpleasant action also is a part of the climate. Then relative importance of participative management versus authoritarian management also exist in the organizational climate. And HRD climate is an integral part of the overall organizational climate. So if the organizational climate is a system, then the subsystem would be HRD climate. So it is the combination of both that leads to the growth and development of overall human resources. It is also defined as the perception the employees can have on the development environment of the entire organization. It can be regarded as the tendency at all levels, starting from the top management to the lowest level of management, and the movement or the way people get treated in the environment, and it emphasizes that the human resources should be treated as the most important resource of all. Then it is the perception that developing the competency in the employees is the job of every manager and supervisor, and it is the focus of this climate that it should be followed. Then employees have a faith in the capabilities of employ employees in the organization to change and acquire new competencies at any stage. So organizational climate has a faith that yes, capabilities of employees and competencies can be enhanced with the change in the organizational climate or HRD climate. There is also a tendency to be open in communication and discussion rather than being secretive. So, fairly free expression of feelings and encouraging risk taking and experimentation is a feature of these two climates, that is, HRD climate and organizational climate. Making efforts to help employees recognize their strength and weakness through a feedback system and a general climate of trust must be built to enhance the capabilities and competencies of human resources. Another feature of this climate is that it is a tendency on the part of employees to be generally helpful to each other and collaborate with each other if the climate is conducive. Then another feature or nature of this climate is that it encourages team spirit and instills in the uh, employees to have a tendency to discourage stereotypes and favoritism. So, if there is unbiasedness in the climate, organizations will have a thriving workforce and with a high morale and high motivation levels. And every organizational climate or HRD climate will have a supportive personal policies will lead to the success of HRD climate or entire HRD systems. So supportive HRD practices including performance appraisal, training, reward management, potential development, job rotation, career planning are the basic ingredients or elements of any climate. Now, going towards the elements of HRD climate specifically, there are three types of categories or three categories basically that are general climate, octopus culture, and HRD mechanism. So these three are the elements of any HRD climate, and if maintained and created or cultivated, this can lead to the success of every HRD effort. So the general climate items deal with the importance given to human resources and their development in general, and the top level management and line level managements also. Then octopus items deal with the extent to which openness, concentration, trust, autonomy, proactivity, authenticity, and collaboration are valued and promoted in the organization. The items dealing with HRD mechanisms measure the extent to which HRD mechanisms are implemented seriously. So about HRD mechanism, we have already dealt these mechanisms and subsystem for HRD in our first and second unit. Then what contributes to HRD climate? How can we cultivate it? How we can develop it? We can develop our HRD climate with the help of top management style and philosophy, personal policies, clearly defined personal policies, HRD instrument and subsystems, Then self-renewal mechanisms and systems, attitude of personnel and workforce and HRD staff, commitment of line managers and overall employees. So in this unit, we have seen how culture can be cultivated and what are the contributors of human resource development. Then we see that another unit in this block is counseling, coaching, and mentoring. In this unit, the objective is to make you describe the concept and process of coaching and mentoring, and then discuss the components of the coaching process, elaborate the sequential process of coaching, and highlighting the significance of mentoring for employee development. So the structure is that we will first discuss the concept of coaching, then concept of mentoring, then the objectives of coaching and mentoring. The basic process of coaching and mentoring, how they can be done in an organization and how they should be designed, then the coaching process and the process of mentoring and how it can be effective. So this is the basic structure with this entire unit. So what is coaching? So elderly person and supervisors play a significant role in the development of the young person who admire them. Young people, that is the human resource which have been hired in recent time, or young people that is between the age of 25 to 35, developed develop by building a trust relationship with their supervisors who nurture, support and guide their efforts. There is no substitute for such a dyadic relationship for employee development. So training and other programs are there, of course, but coaching is also one of the most important instrument when it comes to human resource development. But it differs from training mainly in its intensity or relationship and its focus on establishing mutuality and confidentiality. Young employees in coaching need to develop trusting and supporting relationship with their immediate supervisors who can help the employees to set challenging tasks, goals, and support them to achieve the goals that has been set. Coaching also helps the employees to analyze why they could have high performance and plan to have higher achievement in coming future. This process is called coaching or performance review as well, which can be defined as help provided by a supervisor to the subordinate to analyze their performances and other on the job behaviors in order to improve their overall performances. Now, what are the objectives of coaching? The main purpose of the entire coaching program is to develop the employee or human resource. So, another objectives aligned with this are helping them realize their potential as a manager or various challenging roles, helping them to understand themselves, their strengths, their weaknesses, providing them with an opportunity to acquire more insight into their behavior and analyze the dynamics of such behavior. That it is going to hamper or enhance the climate that they are working in, then helping them to have a better understanding of the overall environment, overall climate, and culture of the organization, increase their personal and interpersonal skill and effectiveness, and it can be done through effective feedback, which the coach provides to their employees, the subordinate. Now, another goal of coaching is to encourage the employee to set goal for further improvement and to generate alternatives for dealing with their problems on a day-to-day basis and prepare an action plan for the challenging roles that they are handling. And it also helps the employees to review in a non-threatening way. So they do not feel challenged or threatened or don't feel offensive and take this in a positive way in the progress in achieving the various objectives related to their job role. And another objective of coaching is to provide empathic atmosphere for sharing and discussing the issues faced by these subordinates and tensions or conflicts, concerns and problems they face in their everyday life in the workplace. So another concept that we are dealing here is mentoring. When a young person joins an organization, they also need some senior person whom she or he admire and admires for various qualities and look up to when they're working in an organization and treat them as their inspiration. So they are the one to whom they can confide and get advice and support on a regular basis. So the person need not to be, or preferably it should not be, his supervisor, the employee supervisor. Such relationship in the organization can be termed as mentoring. The senior person is called the mentor, and the person who is being mentored is called protege. So the concept of mentoring relates to emotional support and guidance given by usually an older person to a younger person who is working in the organization and can be called as a protege, and it is about the general development and psychological well-being of that employee. So performance review, counseling, coaching, when considered, it focuses on the analysis of the performance of the job and identification of the training needs for further improvement. But mentoring here differs with the view that it also focuses on psychological well being and everyday development of the human resources or the protege or the person being mentored here. So, what are the objectives of mentoring? So basically, it is to provide opportunity to the young employees to share their concerns, worries, and tensions at workplace and get both moral support and guidance for their development from their mentor. Aligned objectives of this mentorship program is establishing a relationship of trust between the mentor and the protege, and then modeling behavioral norms for the young employees, listening to the person's concern and problems, then helping them to search alternative solutions for the issues and challenges that they face on a day-to-day basis, and sharing own relevant experience to guide them and show them a way to perform in a better way. They also help in responding to their emotional needs, psychological needs, without making him feel dependent upon the mentor. So, overall development, both psychologically and emotionally, is the function, basic objective of mentoring programs. So, the basic process of coaching and mentoring, how they both can be designed in an organization so the employees can be benefited. Both involve help and support by their senior member of the organization, and these processes are involved in both coaching and mentoring, which is communication, empowering, and helping. So, communication, as we see, what it is the sharing of ideas, sharing of views, and communication can be both verbal or non-verbal. Okay, non-verbal. So the communication involves both receiving the messages, that is listening, and giving the message, that is responding to the questions or the queries of the employees, the junior employee, and giving feedback. The coach or mentor does all these. So in both the processes, whether it is coaching or it is mentoring, communication is the key part, is the basic process to channelize these both processes or these both programs. So the process of empowering involves enabling the other person to exercise more autonomy, provide positive reinforcement so that desirable behavior is further strengthened, and creating conditions in which the person is able to learn from the behavior of the supervisor or the mentor. So empowering is another way of both coaching or mentoring an employee. Then concern and empathy of the coach or the mentor of the employee is the basis of helping behavior. Then it also involves mutuality of relationship. The employee responds as much to the coach's need as the coach or mentor does to the employee's need. So it is a give and take relationship, a two-way relationship rather. So finally, helping primarily involves identification of employees' development needs so that they may be helped to develop and increase their effectiveness. Now, the coaching process is helping the employee to grow and develop in the organization. Every manager is coaching his or her employee knowingly or unknowingly on a day-to-day work life. So whether we know or whether we not know, we are guiding them, giving them instruction as it is the function of management to guide and direct the employees. So coaching happens naturally. And if an effective manager coach is one who helps his employee to become more aware of their strengths and weaknesses so that they help them to improve their strong points and overcome these weaknesses that the employees have. So the idea is to locate the gray areas in the personality of an employee and then try to make them come out of those shades and behave in a desired manner and exhibit the best possible performance at the workplace. So by the process of mutuality and support, the managers help the employee to develop by providing them the proper emotional climate where they could feel safe and have a support system rather to feel offended in the first place. So, another process that is mentoring with the help of communication, empowering, and helping is a sustained relationship between young employee and the experienced employee. So, the mentor protege relationship is there to help them to have an involvement, and the adult or the experienced employee offers the support, guidance, and assistance through communication, empowering, and helping process, and thus mentors the younger employee. Effective, it is effective if the younger person or employee goes through a difficult period and faces new challenges or works to correct their earlier problems with their work environment. So, very effective when there is a trust between both these parties and there is a congenial relationship so that whatever difficulty or challenges are faced by the employee, younger employee, could be openly communicated to the mentor. And the guidance must come from the mentor's side. How to tackle, how to face these new challenges or the problem or issues that they are facing at day to day work life. So, famous mentor and prodigal relationships we have seen in the past that Socrates and Plato, the Medici and Michelangelo, then Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung, then Gandhi and Nehru are the examples of these kind of relationships. And the process of mentoring. So it is a voluntary one-to-one relationship between the mentor and protege where neither is paid to be involved in the process. So there is no cost involved on the part of organization for this mentorship program. So it happens naturally as there is a relationship in the coaching as well that manager helps and guides the or directs the subordinates at the workplace in the same manner the young employees who view some other experienced employee as an inspiration can help can have a confidence in him, and it is a voluntary relationship between both of them. So it happens naturally, or even if it happens in a planned way, it is not a paid program, it is a voluntary program. So natural mentoring occurs through friendship, collegiality, teaching, coaching, and counseling. On the other hand, the planned mentorship programs occur through structured program in which mentors and participants are selected and matched through formal process. So this is end of the unit 9 and we are further moving to the unit 10. So we have in this unit we have discussed coaching and mentoring, the various elements or the processes through which mentoring and process and coaching can be completed or accomplished. So the 10th unit which we have to discuss here is the industrial relation. It is a very important part of the entire human resource development environment. It can also be addressed as a system or subsystem of human resource development environment or organization development climate. So the objective of this particular unit is to make you understand the interconnection between human resource development and industrial relations. Then develop understanding about potential of human resource development or organizational development and how it intervenes to manage the industrial relation or what are the transformation which are very much important to cultivate a smooth industrial relation in the organizational environment. So this, we are talking about the structure of this particular unit. We'll have discuss the introduction of industrial unit, that how it came into picture, and then we'll be defining HRD and organizational development. Then HRD, OD, and industrial relations linkage, that how they are interlinked together, they are spun together, and the pressure for change, that why we need to have an integrated HRD and industrial relation system. Then development approach to industrial relation, prerequisites for a successful HRD OD approach to industrial relation, and development mechanism for empowering or improving the industrial relation are going to be dealt in this particular unit. So moving forward, we have the introduction part. So what is industrial relation? So in India, we have this notion that whenever there is the term referred as industrial relation, we have a connotation attached to it that we are dealing or we are talking about collective bargaining, interpretation of rules, labor laws, court cases, problem of indiscipline, etc. So terms like conflict, power play, litigation, legislation are often being used in describing industrial relation. So this has been characterized by many practitioners as firefighting, imposition of short solutions of critical business situations or issues. So typically, industrial disputes arise as an unanticipated consequence of business decisions, often far removed geographically and temporarily from them. So industrial relation does not have a very positive uh, outlook when it comes to India, but it is not all about that. So industrial relations are often seen as the environmental constraint which limits the ability of organizations than an opportunity to develop collaborative problem solving relationship between the management and the workforce. So the emerging function of this human resource development and organizational development is to pre-address itself to the problem of individual motivation, development of terms, conflict resolution strategies, development aspect of organizational relationship. So unfortunately, both HRD and IR have been considered as different functions and totally apart. And there has been a little attempt both by academicians and practitioners to see the relevance of HRD to manage the industrial relation function in a proactive manner. So this is the background which we have in our mind, particularly in India when it comes to industrial relation. Coming to the definition of industrial relation, but that actually what it means. So Dunlop's definition here we are referring to states that at any one time is its development is regarded as comprised certain actors, certain context and ideology which binds an industrial relation system. Then the term industrial relation explains the relationship between employees and management, which stems directly or indirectly from the union employer relationship. So, industrial relation is a positive atmosphere or the atmosphere where various factors exist, and it is the relationship between the employer and the government bodies, government and the employees. So, it is the relationship or interconnectedness or interdependence of these three to four agents which together combine and formulate a different set of environment which is termed as industrial relations. So it is not just the conflict or the issues arising out of the relationship or conflict due to the interaction between these parties, but it is the relationship which we should focus, and human resource development has a positive perspective towards this industrial relation which we need to understand, and we are dealing in this particular unit. So defining human resource development, since the first unit of this entire course we have been discussing that what is human resource development. So it is very much different from industrial relation, but industrial relation can be treated as a subsystem of human resource development. So it is concerned with developing competencies that we have already dealt, which are technical skills, managerial skills, and behavioral competencies among the organizational processes in the human resources. So Rao in 1981 has defined human resource development as a process by which employees of any organization are helped in a continuous and planned way to acquire and sustain or sharpen their competencies as well as the capabilities and develop their general capabilities as individual and exploit their inner potential and also develop an organizational culture which foster them work, foster teamwork and collaboration among the employees. So this is the these are the two definitions of human resource development. Now defining organizational development. So organizational development is in fact the mechanism of overall human resource development system. It is a long range effort to improve organizations' problem solving and renewal process, particularly. A practice field which is based on the discipline of organizational behavior, psychology, and administrative sciences. Then it is developed as a new behavioral science, finding about the employees, their motivational level, their morale level, and the entire organizational climate. So, organization development is a part, is a subsystem, or in fact a mechanism of human resource development. And organizational development is applied by the managers to solve organizational problems and issues like poor communication, inadequate integration of the objective of organization and the individual working in the organization, low commitment, and inadequate employee development needs. So the linkage between HRD and organizational development. Now see what we see here is the approach what HRD has, what OD has, and how industrial relation can be linked to these two elements of organization. So HRD approach or human resource development approach focuses on developing the human resources, their competencies, enhancing their motivation or boosting their morale, and cultivating organizational culture and facilitate both these functions to happen in a positive direction. And on the other hand, organizational development is considered as a part of overall human resource development, which focuses on systematic and planned relationship or interventions to build human processes and employee competencies for growth and development and vitality of the organization. So, organizational development, if treated independently, it covers a large canvas of attempt to help the organization develop its various ways in and using a variety of interventions, including structural changes, organizational technological changes, strategic shifts, human process changes, and etc. Another way is to understand this that industrial technological changes, strategic shifts, human resource process changes, etc., are the key features of organizational development. Now, industrial relation is a specialized function that evolved to protect the interests of the organization as well as that of the working class. There are several approaches to industrial relations, regulatory, descriptive, and collective or collaborative management and conflict management. So there are various approach. There are various ways and mechanisms to regulate the industrial relation in totality. So the development approach or a human resource development approach to industrial relation has been adopted by few organizations that had their employees in the forefront in all their thoughts and plans. So if the basic focus of any organization is their employees, then HRD approach towards the industrial relation should be taken into consideration. So another way to understand this is the primary focus of human resource development is people. And the primary focuses of organizational development is the organization and its capabilities. And the primary focus of industrial relation is on protection of the interest of labor and management in a balanced way. So the focus of these three are majorly the human resources. At one side, HRD looks out to the people. On the other hand, organizational development or OD looks out for the efforts to be concentrated on the overall organizational development. And on the other side, there is industrial relation which tries to have or protect the interest of the both class or the labor and the management group. There should be an equilibrium in the protection of the interest of both these parties. So they all are involved in a positive, strategic way to inculcate or develop a better organizational environment for the growth of human resources and protecting them. So all of them are involved in dealing with people. The focus is entirely on the human resources and the groups existing in the organization and to protect them. So HRD, the focus is every individual, organization's focus is the team in the organization as well as the organization as a whole system. And on the other hand, industrial relations focus is towards union management or labor management relations. So although the focus point differs due to the philosophies adopted by these three different systems in the organization, the dynamics of the process are very similar and the concern and the focus is similar, which is the human resource and their development. Now, the pressure for change. Why there is need for integration of human resource development and industrial relations. So, if human resource development intervenes in the process of industrial relations, then industrial relations can be improved or can be managed in a very effective way. So, HRD or OD methodology helps in identify the key factors both in management and between the unions which contribute to the spiral of mistrust or suspicion between these parties. So, this methodology provides a problem solving or problem diagnosis in terms of motivation, feelings, actions, reaction in a prerequisite manner to solve the issues related or between these two parties. So, HRD or OD methodology involves both structured and unstructured interventions to resolve these problems arising out of the interaction between the different parties of industrial relations. So, managers are increasingly dissatisfied with traditional industrial relation policies, which are very much static and old in perspective. They have a traditional approach and they consider industrial relation in a negative lens, which human resource managers or organizational development or HRD approaches to a problem solving way, approaches to solve the issues, resolve it. So pressure for change is to also increasing because they have realized that despite conflict of interest between union and management, the industrial relation climate needs to be changed to have a progressive business outlook, and it can be done with the intervention of HRD or OD in the field of industrial relation. So there should be a synergy or interaction or interdependent role of these HRD, OD, and IR together. So, emergence of new technology, march towards computerization is creating an issue in the management and union. So, the union views that management is have going to reduce the workforce or the involvement of human resources due to coming up advanced technology or computerizations. Then another issue is that every new worker feels anxiety or causes anxiety to both management and union because they have their own interest, their self interest, they are defiant, they are impatient, and management as well as unions feel that they are being bordered with the traditional with the approach of newcomer in the organization. So HRDOD or both together can help to analyze these anxiety levels, these issues, and help them to give orientation or training programs so they get settled in the organization and have a say or have a contribution in improvement of industrial relation rather to hamper it or create an hindrance in the positive direction. So another issues that they face and why we feel that there is a need to intervention or integration of HRD into industrial relation is that futility of legitimate mechanism are now well appreciated both by management and union in terms of delays in problem solving, mistrust and cost of the litigatory process. So these are also issues which can be dealt when HRD is integrated to industrial relation. Now, innovative personal participating and quality of work-life programs practiced by many organizations and their impact on improved business performances. So the subsystem of human resource development like performance appraisal, like work-life balance, like quality work-life can have an improved industrial relation and reduce the issues or conflicts arising out of various different situations in the industrial relation. So pressure from government for workers participation in management is also one of the pertinent issue which can be dealt with the help of human resource development programs or organizational programs and help in improving the overall industrial relations. Now, what is the development approach to industrial relation? When human resource development is taken into consideration to have a better industrial relation, then we say that yes, we have taken a development approach towards industrial relation. So there are two dimensions of development approach to industrial relation, which are competencies building, which is the major actor industrial in industrial relation like management union, the key government official concerned with these aspects. So competency building is another is one of the most crucial way to have a development approach towards industrial relation, and competencies are built for the individual, the management, the unions together, and the government officials as well. And then there is the another way of having a development approach towards industrial relation, that is focusing on octa-pace values. Now octa-pace stands for openness, proaction, confrontation, autonomy, trust, collaboration, authenticity, experimentation. Now these terms, different uh, terms have been already dealt in the previous units, that management and the organization with the employee have an open approach, like they can talk about anything, any issue can be dealt openly, like proactive approach. There should be a visionary practice in the management style of the managers so that they could see and vision what changes are bound to come or they are going to be trend in the coming future, so that they could develop their human resources in such a way that the challenges are met on time and there is no confusion or a hassle environment when the change arrives. Then confrontation is another value which can be added towards improvement or development of the entire industrial relations. Then autonomy, trust, collaboration, collaborative efforts among the team, among the teams and the organization, among the various agents or entities performing in the industrial relation, their roles. Then authenticity and experimentation, that giving a scope to the employees and various trade unions to have innovative ideas, explore their creative side, and help the employee to explore their own potentiality. So, prerequisites for a successful HRD or OD approach to industrial. We have already seen what kind of approach, that is development approach, HRD has towards industrial relation. Now, what should be the prerequisites? What are the requirements to instill this development approach towards industrial relation? So, taking one by one, first is the management side. So, management must make clear policy, define the philosophy and policy in such a way that they are understandable, they are very clear, and values underlying its in its action should be communicated to the employees. Another requirement or prerequisite to have a successful HRD interaction to IR is management must establish its credibility by ensuring the implementation of agreed policies. That the policies one decides should be implemented without any biasness or discrepancy in the organization, non-meddling in the internal dynamics of the union, etc. And the power play, the politics is lessened due to the efforts of management rather to be more actively fired fighted. Okay, so top level management style, especially the chief executive styles, need to be very proactive and geared to problem solving rather to have a more problematic in nature. His actions or these executives must behave in such a manner that the decision bear the testimony of the professional approach to human resource management. Another requirement is the structure of human resource function must be such that they foster delegation of power at different hierarchical level in the matters of personal management and reduce bottlenecks in decision making. So the decision making should be very much clear, given, delegated to the employees at them. So autonomy must be practiced and not only should be in the policies or on the surface. So managers at all level must acquire the interpersonal skill. Accountability for human resource management must be established like any other business function. Norms of full days work must be clear and no ambiguity should be prevailing in this regard. Then open mindedness and problem solving attitude must be there in the both parties, that is management and trade union, and in their relationship. Okay, and the recognition on part of management and unions that planned organizational change involves joint problem solving and negotiated decision making should be there. Then another requirement is that workers and unions should be prepared to give up restrictive practices and adopt more flexible, more transparent, and recognize that such planned change is not likely to weaken their power and the functioning of the union as well. Now, developing mechanisms for improving industrial relations. So, there are various plans, mechanisms, tools through which HRD can improve industrial relations. So, the developmental approach towards industrial relation can be implemented in a few ways. These few ways are bipartite meeting, information sharing, joint service, and the objective of this bipartite meeting or information sharing is to arrive at settlement concerning employee wages and services condition, to review the working of existing settlement and examine their impact on workplace discipline, to share information about the business profitability, information regarding the performance of the company, competition in the market, marketing plans, diversification plans, critical problems of the organization, including human resource problems that they are facing or the performance issues that they are having should be shared. So this is one of the most major mechanism for improving industrial relation. Then joint surveys. Management and union to undertake joint survey on the state of morale, motivation and grievances of employees, plan ways of dealing with these problems. So there should be joint surveys to help the managers to understand that what are the grievances and what are the root causes of the grievances and low level of morale or motivation, and there should be a planned intervention to deal with all these problem. So joint surveys is another mechanism to have a developmental approach towards industrial relation and improving it. Another mechanism or tool can be task force, collaborative projects, and training. Training, as we have already discussed, it helps to develop specific job skill, helps employees to develop multiple talent and skill. Training could help problem solving skill and behavioral skill, and it also helps to develop perspective and values of for work discipline and equality at workplace, to develop interpersonal skill in the workplace between the supervisor, between the management union and other agents playing their role in cultivating or making or shaping up of the industrial relation. Then task forces, its objective is to understand this, undertake the study of problems like absenteeism, discipline, and suggest the ways or means to tackle these problems. The collective projects, to undertake project on employee welfare, education, have a recreation facilities, on the job and off the job trainings like Telco in Pune collaboration with employees has launched collaboratives with the aim of providing part-time employment to female dependents of telecom employees. So it is one of the major examples in the field of collective collaborative projects in a view to improve the industrial relations, having the approach of developmental mechanism. Then another way or tool to improve the overall industrial relation, having a development approach, can be grievance mechanism and participative forums. So grievance mechanisms, Tesco is another example, has a three-tier grievance procedure for the permanent employees. Over the years, the system has paved its credibility, and it has the objective to establish grievance redressal machinery that is workable. So it should not be on the paper, but it should be practiced. And Tesco is a very uh, major or landmark example in this type of tool. Then participative forums, to ensure it is done to ensure adequate communication on important issues relating to industry, management, and union, to provide such forum at different hierarchical levels, to encourage introduction of quality circles and better involvement of workers in work related problems. So participative programs or labor union participation is very much important to cultivate an improved industrial relation. Then counseling, which we have already dealt in the last unit, which was unit 8 and unit 9, we have seen that counseling, coaching, mentorship programs are very much helpful and are a great mechanism or tool for the human resource development. So these are also considered as a mechanism for the improvement of industrial relation when we have a development approach towards its improvement. So provide for the service of trained counselor within the industry or outside, to help workers to learn from their mistakes and trigger the process of change in an individual is another way or tool to improve industrial relation. Then the last one is research. It is meant to create database for personal decision making. We have HRIS, which is Human Resource Information System. Then we have human resource audit. Then we have human resource accounting system. So these are the various. Then we have uh, job analysis, then we have climate analysis. So these are the various types of research which can be conducted periodically and gather data on important critical aspect of management and union, and initiate necessary sharing and initiating change program in the overall organizational environment. So this is all for today, and with this, we wrap up this particular unit, which is 8, 9, and 10. We have discussed the climate, we have discussed the coaching and mentorship program, then we have discussed the industrial relation. And from tomorrow is the last class for this entire course, in which we will be discussing the issues and challenges faced by HRD and what are the various trends in human resource development these days. So thank you all for being a partner in this entire program and listening to us. And you can share your queries and questions as written on the screen. And thank you so much. Have a nice day.